Okay, so where we're at here is we have drawn our curves and extracted that from the actual plan view image here, and we're going to start labeling our data. Now we've already shown how to draw in our lines to locate our center point of our arc, and we're now going to label our radius, which we know is 300 feet, but we're going to actually dimension that. So I'm going to come over here to that dimension tool and label that as 300 feet on here. And we can do that for both of our arcs, arc 1 and arc 2. The next thing we want is our I value, which is our interior angle. For that, I am going to use the angular dimension tool. And once I have that, I'm going to click on the arc and get an angle of 30 degrees. And again, to do that. Now, these dimensions I've been doing are annotation dimensions. I'm actually in the annotation view. Normally on the Mac version, when you first start, you will be in the drafting view. Sorry, my computer's giving me the rainbow of death right now. So here in the drafting view is where we normally have our tools. To switch to that annotation panel up here, you can go to annotation right there. In the Windows version, it will either be a pull-down menu up here or another option in all of your toolbars up at the top of your screen. So once we have those labeled, we can come into our text menu and add that data. So our I value is 30, and we needed a degree. So on the Mac version, there's this little arrow. That's slightly different on the Windows. And then you get some more options, and right here is insert symbol. So 30 degrees. Now both our arcs are the same, so I'm just going to label the first one for now to save time. Now we need the length of our arc. So if we click on the arc itself, and we come over to our properties inspector, in the Mac version you want to make sure you're on all, not just the essentials, which may be your standard. Make sure you're on all. And in the Windows version you may have to type properties enter in order to pull up this properties inspector menu. So down here under arc length we have 156 feet 10 inches. So I'm going to go over here to my text menu, and this is a multi-text box, so I'm going to double click into it, and I'm going to enter 156 feet 10 inches, and then we have the tangent length. So that is the point from our PC or PI to the, or I'm sorry, not PI, point of the tangent or point curve, to our PI, point of intersection of the tangents. So we are going to dimension that with our dimension tool again for our tangent length of roughly 81 feet 2 inches. So we can enter that over here. 81 feet is what I'm going to enter. Now, sometimes you can see here that our text perhaps is a little too large. So if we type dim style, dimension style, we get this menu. And I'm using copy of standard, which is something I just made. Go in here to modify that, and I'm going to make my text height actually a little bit smaller. I'm at 30 feet in model space right now as my size. I'm going to half that to 15 feet and see how that looks. And that looks a little bit better as a display for these annotations. That only changes your annotation text, not your multi-line labels, which is what I've used for this. So that is actually controlled within the text itself. In here is where we can control that height. So let's say I wanted to shrink that down. Oops. Sorry, I deleted the text itself. If I wanted to change that, I could change that here. It's annotative right now. I want to change that to 15 feet, and that will shrink that down. So I'm going to undo that though to keep it big so that we can see for the tutorial. The next thing we need is going to be on Paul's list over here. We need to label our PC, our PT, and our PI. So those I am again just going to use a multi-line text function, which again, if you just type text, enter, that gives you the option. Or I'll show you over here. If you click the A in the Mac one, gives you the option here. And right now we are at 3,000 feet for our size of text, which is a little bit large. We go back down to 30 feet for our text size. Excuse me. 30 feet. And we'll click in here. And let's say PC. And we can zoom in on that now. So we click that, and we click M, enter, and click a base point. That's move. And we are going to move that to the PC location. Right there. Now, the thing with text is that it's kind of hard to keep setting up those menu each time. So I like to just copy text, which is CO is copy. And you click the text, right click, and then click a base point, and you can copy that text around your map to reuse that in multiple locations. It just keeps it a little bit easier than going in and selecting it to enter that, to change that text each time. So I'm sorry, these are PT, point of tangent. If we do copy again, copy that, and we are going to copy these now for the locations for our PI, or point of intersection, for our tangents. PI and PI. So we've labeled those. If you were doing this by hand, we would be, well, actually in this case we can draw in a radius line, so I'll go back over here to drafting while that's thinking. So we could select our line tool, or we could do L for radius line. And the problem is that it wants to snap to the ends of these arcs. So I want it to snap to a midpoint, so I'm going to hold down Shift and right click and select midpoint on this list. And now it snaps to the midpoint right there, which is what we want. Now we can move our label for our degrees over. We'll just leave it there for now. Again, L, enter, and select that base point. And we want that midpoint again. So Shift, right click, midpoint, and we can get that midpoint there. So those are our radius lines. As you can see, Paul has labeled his radius, or Carl has labeled the radius right here on his drawing, and also in the curve data. So we can do the same thing as that. If we want to go, and let's just do this the easy way, and copy the PC label here, and move that in. Now I want a smaller text, so again, we could resize this in the text menu, or we can scale this like any other object. SC, enter, click there, and I'm going to scale that to half, so I'm going to enter 0.5, and it shrinks it to a half. Now I'm going to enter R equals 300 feet. Now the problem is that I don't really want that flat. I want it parallel to my radius line. So I'm going to type rotate, and it wants me to select a base point, and then I can rotate my text. So I'm just going to eyeball this, and there we have a text label that is in relation to that line. So we have our R of 300 feet. And again, text is just hard to deal with in AutoCAD, so as often as you can, copy it and reuse your text styles. AutoCAD is a great drafting tool. text is just something that, in my opinion, it's not as great at working with. Always remember that once you output of AutoCAD as a PDF, which you will be shown how to do soon, editing in Illustrator is a great way to clean up your drawings as well. For something like this, I would probably just output this as a PDF as a basic, and I would really spend my time formatting in Illustrator, which is going to be a much quicker, much more effective use of your time if you want to get a attractive layout, say. So that's it for this tutorial. We have drawn our curves, labeled our distances, and you will be labeling station points per se every 100 feet or so along this line. I'm not sure at this point of the method which they'll teach you, and I can post that tutorial at another point. So make sure you save your drawings. Always save. Thank you.